Should we really believe this with Alexa Bliss? Well, in this video, I'm going to tell you exactly what I'm talking about. Because I don't know about you, but as a Alexa Bliss fan, I'm ready to see her back on WWE television. It has been over a year, and oh, how things have changed for Alexa Bliss in that time period, right? And obviously, that is due to her pregnancy. That is due to her birth. That is due to her giving birth to her first child. As a parent of myself, I have a 5-year-old son. It's phenomenal, but it changes your life more than anything. It changes your life more than you can even imagine. And until you have a child, you don't fully grasp the reality of the situation. But when it comes to Alexa Bliss, we've seen her grow, not only as a professional wrestler, but as a person as well on WWE television, going back a decade on NXT television, where she was really just this lost character that couldn't find her footing, right? And then she was paired with Buddy Murphy. What was those tag team names? And Wesley Blake. Buddy Murphy and Wesley Blake, right? She makes her debut in 2013 as a cheerleader of all places, then goes to a manager role with Buddy Murphy and Wesley Blake, and then they find success, but you could tell she was meant for more than just a manager role. So she then pivots towards the singles run, and she starts making history, right? She wins the SmackDown Women's title and the Raw Women's title. She's later become a Women's Tag Team Champion. We've literally seen her grow up on television and mature and get better. Alexa Bliss has always been one of those where she had a ton of charisma right out of the gate. She was a very good talker, and you knew that there was something special with her, but her wrestling really had to make a big improvement inside the squared circle. And that's usually how it comes from, because while, yes, she is a collegiate athlete, yes, she's athletic, you got to pair everything together, and she did that on the main roster. And then during the pandemic, they did something interesting with Alexa Bliss. They really changed her character. They aligned her with Bray Wyatt, and they did the Firefly Funhouse matches, and you could tell based off of watching television that Bray Wyatt, the late great Bray Wyatt, and Alexa Bliss, they had a ton of chemistry. Well, why is that? Well, they're very good friends. They were very good friends. She was actually on Bray Wyatt's documentary on Peacock that aired a few weeks ago. I highly recommend going and checking it out. It's very good, but the ending, obviously due to circumstances, is just heartbreaking. But she did a lot of good work in that, because I think in a lot of ways people thought that she was one-dimensional before being paired with Bray Wyatt. And during the pandemic, the actual matches are god-awful, but as they got into the Thunderdome, the storytelling aspect of WWE, there were certain moments that really shined. The Bray Wyatt evolution with The Fiend, the evolution and heel turn with Roman Reigns and the Bloodline storyline, right? There are certain aspects of that time that are just brilliant to go back and look at from a cinematic storytelling standpoint. Alexa Bliss falls under that category. She got to really tap into a character in which she could sink her teeth into, and that you could follow along week by week, month in, month out, and it really turned into a weekly television series. Now, I understand towards the end, a lot of people did not like her character whatsoever. They were done with it. They were over it. But at the same time, you got to keep in mind, and the Peacock documentary covered this, and this is why I reference it, Bray Wyatt was extraordinarily frustrated in November, December of 2020 due to creative, right? They burned The Fiend alive, and they had to resurrect him, and then at freaking WrestleMania 37 in his match with Randy Orton, they have Alexa Bliss turn on Bray Wyatt, who then disappears from television, ultimately gets released, and then comes back a few years later. Now, that leads us to today's video, today's topic. So, in January of 2023, January of 2023, at the Royal Rumble, when Bray Wyatt, he went over LA Knight, Alexa Bliss worked that show. That was the last time we've seen Alexa Bliss on WWE television. Now, going into the show, we knew she was going to be taking time off, but they finally, after weeks and weeks of teases, they dropped the hammer with the biggest tease that she would be paired with Uncle Howdy and Bray Wyatt. Now, Uncle Howdy, of course, is portrayed by Bo Dallas, the younger brother of Bray Wyatt. So we've known that Alexa Bliss, she's coming back, she's returning, she's training. We also know that Bo Dallas, as Uncle Howdy, is coming back as well. And there has been speculation that Alexa Bliss could be paired with Uncle Howdy, considering that they last left off there. There's also speculation that Eric Rowan, if you will, is going to be returning and being part of this group. So should we believe that Alexa Bliss will be paired with the Uncle Howdy character when she returns to WWE television? I don't necessarily want to see that. I really don't. However, do I think that they will? Yes, and here's why. Before she was taken off of television, before they started doing the teases with her and Bray Wyatt and Uncle Howdy, she was kind of floundering. Okay, let's be honest. There needed to be a little bit of an evolution. And it wasn't Alexa Bliss' problem. I think it was more of a booking problem. They knew that they were going to get to this moment, but they kind of had to fill the gap, and it suffered. So I don't necessarily want to see that again. I would like to see something new and fresh, but at the same time, under Triple H's leadership with main roster creative and with this Uncle Howdy character, you know that WWE is going to make the best effort possible. They're going to put their best foot forward to make sure that this character and this storyline and this faction hits off running, right? Like they're going to put their full effort behind it. So I do think that it will be a good thing for Alexa Bliss. I do think it will happen. I'm very curious to see the evolution of her character, like the Fiend-like character, the evolution of whatever character in which she's going to portray. I assume she's going to do a Fiend-like character, what she did in the past, but it could be different, right? I could absolutely see her returning as Alexa Bliss, and then all of a sudden, boom, Uncle Howdy is there, and he continuously shows up like he did in the past, but it's more evident and not. He has some connection to her through Bray Wyatt in like a supernatural world, and I think that's how you can play on the Eric Rowan element. There's also been rumors possibly of Matt Hardy coming back. I don't know if I believe that necessarily, but he recently teased it. We got the QR codes going on. So there's a lot going on with Alexa Bliss, Uncle Howdy, and WWE. And going forward, I am very, very curious to see what they're able to do with those characters.